Hi guys, it's Tablet-News.com and I'm here with a tablet called the ASUS MeMo Pad FHD 10, one of the first reviews you're going to see of this device. This is a 10-inch tablet that was introduced at Computex 2013, which was next month, so in early June, and this tablet will hit the stores around August. The price tag is below $500 for the 32GB version, and also you should know that we're testing the ASUS MeMo Pad HD 7, the 7-inch version of the MeMo Pad series this year. That one has a very good price, but all will be revealed in due time. Now back to the ASUS MeMo Pad FHD 10. Let's have a look at the design. First thing that caught my eye and my fingers was the back with a very good grip and very nice texture. As you can see right here, it's a 3D microwave pattern. At the back, this tablet is 9.5mm thick. Also it's 580 grams in weight, so it's quite light. You can see the speakers here, one here and one here, stereo speakers. On the side we have a 5-megapixel camera at the back, and at the front yet another camera, but more about that later. Now let's move to the sides. Here we have the volume buttons and audio jack, and we move further to the top where we find the on-off button, and to the other side where we find the micro USB port here, the micro SD card slot, and the micro HDMI port right here. This is the tablet that's comfortable to use, comfortable to hold, as you can see. My only objection will have to be the big bezels, but they're not that big anyway, and for the reasonable price tag we're going to have to deal with it on this mid-range tablet. Okay. So you should also know that this tablet will come not only in blue, the version we have here, it will also come in white or pink. I like the design. I find the tablet to be very portable, and it's always a plus to have that weight removed, so it's below 600 grams, it's good. Okay, now as far as the hardware is concerned, inside this tablet there's a Intel Atom Z2560 CPU. This one is a dual-core 1.6 GHz Clover Trail Plus processor, and the GPU on board of this tablet, well, it's an SGX 544 MP2 at 400 MHz. That's the GPU. We also get 2 GB of RAM, 16 or 32 GB of storage, a micro SD card slot with a capacity of maximum 32 GB extra, and this beautiful display you see right here, well, it's an IPS LCD. Diagonal is 10.1 inches, and it has aspect of 16:10, and the resolution is 1920 over 1200 pixels, which is a bit over Full HD. It supports 10-finger multi-touch without problems. And moving on to the other specs of this beautiful tablet, well, we got Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 3.0, Miracast, we also have Wi-Fi Direct, and the camera at the back is a 5-megapixel unit with the ability to do autofocus and Full HD video capture. Okay, so now continuing the list of specs, I mentioned the front camera before, you can see it right here. It's a 1.2 megapixel camera that is able to do 720p video, and I must mention other specs of this device. Well, they include a G sensor, and aside from the G sensor we got a gyroscope, an e-compass, an ambient light sensor, and it's time to talk a bit about the battery. Well, the battery you have available here is a 6760 mAh battery. It took us 3.5 hours to charge it to the maximum level, and ASUS promises 10 hours of functioning time on paper, and I'm going to go to the screenshot gallery and show you that you can actually achieve 10 hours with it. Well, as I said, ASUS promises 10 hours, and in our tests we achieved 5 hours of gaming and 10 hours of full HD playback via YouTube. So you should play HD videos on YouTube for 10 hours. The tablet should last. You can see it right here. We used it for 7 hours and still we have 55% of the battery. You can see that we played a lot of games, like A Tag in Time. We used it as media server. I can tell you right now, 1 hour of watching videos on YouTube will drain 10% of the battery life. So as I said, 10 hours of video viewing, of course with the Wi-Fi on and brightness at 50%. Since I've shown you this area, well, let's activate the smart saving option. What smart saving is a series of settings that will calibrate the use of your battery life on your tablet. You have an optimized mode, an ultra saving mode that maximizes the battery life. The optimized extends the battery life and keeps the network connection, and the customized mode that allows you to select what you want to activate, deactivate, and the brightness that you need. Of course, you can deactivate smart saving if you don't feel the need for it. And some final things to mention in the specs area: we have GPS, we have GLONASS, and we have stereo speakers. And keep in mind that once again, this tablet can easily offer 10 hours of battery life, which is pretty impressive for an Intel based tablet. Okay, it's time to test the audio quality of the device. As usual, I'm going to resort to SoundCloud to avoid any copyright breach. And you should know that ASUS has involved here SonicMaster technology, and the team of Bang & Olufsen also worked on it. We have a balanced dynamic range, we have resonance testing that got rid of vibration, high quality audio, and it's time to search for the artist to listen to. So if Bang & Olufsen got involved, you can imagine it's a highly professional quality. Okay, we're going to listen to a song that's named after a character in a Final Fantasy VII game. Speaker right here. So as I was saying earlier, speakers right here, one on this side, one on this side, stereo speakers, very loud volume, actually reminded me a bit about the Champion in the reign of tablets. I mean, the Nexus 10, to me the Nexus 10 was kind of a benchmark tablet, a landmark tablet when it comes to volume. Well, this one comes pretty close. We have good bass, there's no distortion, and as a bonus we got that feature called Audio Wizard that you can trigger from here. Let's get it right. Okay, so we have these special modes. We have music mode, movie mode, recording mode, gaming mode, and if you go back to SoundCloud and play the tune yet again. Okay, here it is with the music mode, and here's without it. Pretty clear difference. Okay, so that's it when it comes to the audio. As usual for ASUS tablets, flawless audio, no problems whatsoever. And once you select the Audio Wizard optimization, what it does is that it changes the frequency response and boosts it in certain areas for a more natural sound. Okay, it's time to check out a video, a benchmark video of a rabbit. This is a Full HD MP4 file. This is an IPS LCD Full HD screen, and the tablet is able to decode MPEG-4 files with 1080p H.264. We've got natural colors, we've got good viewing angles. It was expected from an IPS screen to have good viewing angles, and so they are. But once again, it's the natural colors that I like the best. The brightness is okay, with one minor objection, which is the fact that the difference between, let's say, 40% in brightness, 60% and 100% isn't that big. And also I really missed that option for the outdoor mode. That's sadly lacking from this tablet. Another thing worth mentioning is that once you press the automatic brightness, you'll be slightly disappointed by the fact that the brightness will be turned down a bit. So if you go to automatic, you may find your brightness level decreasing all of a sudden, so that's why you probably want to tune it yourself. And once again, I regret the lack of the outdoor mode on this tablet, but once again, that was a feature that was reserved to the superior IPS tablets of the past, the previous transformer tablets. And of course, you can customize if you want the viewing experience thanks to an app called ASUS Splendid. You can play with the color temperature, activate the vivid mode, see some enhancements in hue and saturation available here. You can tweak the screen to your liking, and you can go back to default if you don't find that useful for your needs. Okay, so that was the ASUS Splendid tweaking. Hope I didn't tweak the colors too much, so let's keep them at a reasonable level. Okay, other stuff for mentioning is that overall this is a very good screen for this tablet. Once again, it's a mid-range tablet, so we're expecting mid-range performance from it. Okay, time to talk about the camera. We're dealing with a 5 megapixel camera with a pretty cute looking user interface. We got this castle right here. The camera is actually pretty quick to focus for a tablet, I mean. You can also zoom in up to a reasonable level. Okay, some of the options here include the modes like normal, panorama, we got portrait, landscape, night, snow, sunset. We got effects that we can play with, including low-mo, grayscale, or none. You can also select the picture size. You can choose widescreen, 4:3, 5 megapixel, 3 megapixel, 1.3 megapixels, play with the exposure, and a lot of settings. You can tweak the ISO level up to 800. Sometimes the focusing gets in your way of selecting stuff from the menu. Let's put the castle right here. You can also select the focus mode like smart focus and infinity, and other stuff that you can do is go to video mode. Once again, you have here a bunch of options like the effects, HD quality, you can go up to full HD, and here you can check out the exposure, and once again these settings like white balance, time-lapse, display, shutter sound, and all that. I have to say that I frankly miss the presence of a flash. Here is a picture I've taken with the tablet. Reasonably clear, it's taken indoors with artificial lighting, and I have to say it's reasonably clear, but nothing more than that. Okay, other stuff that I have to say is that we have a lot of scenes, a lot of effects, a lot of options, ISO, white balance. You can do 1080p video, you can do a time-lapse, and the video is filmed in 25 frames per second. The camera is decent, and back in the days ASUS made a kick-ass 8 megapixel camera on the Transformer Pad tablets. I remember that one, and I like the fact that the focus is fast here, that it takes only a little while to take a picture. So as I said, the camera is pretty fast and focus is very fast, but sometimes you cannot access the options of the camera properly when you're trying to focus. And suppose you've just taken a picture. Go to the camera again. Okay, so suppose I've taken this picture of the camera and I have the option to tweak it a bit. We have these options right here to mess with it, like autofix, some slight saturation tweaks, some effects that you can apply, actually a lot of effects to apply, fisheye, documentary, dual tone, and a lot of customization, so you can have fun with your pictures after taking them. Now it's time to talk a bit about the software. In the about section you can see that we're running Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean, and let's check out the browser. This is the web browser. Going to the ASUS page. This is the virtual keyboard, quite comfy to use, and I like the fact that we have a special numeric row at the top. Now let's enter tablet news. Always having problems finding that line. Okay, Tablet-News.com, a reasonably fast browser. Pinch to zoom, no problem at all. The Full HD screen is crisp, the text is shown in a great way. So no problem whatsoever with the viewing of websites and the loading of pages. Okay, let's see what we can say about this tablet. Of course, since we got Android 4.2.2, this means that among others we have lock screen widgets to play with, and the notification area is now at the top compared to the previous Android releases. You should see that unlike the Nexus 10 that had basically two drop-down areas, here we have only one that includes toggles, notifications, and some shortcuts. I also have this dock area at the bottom, you can see right here with this application, shortcut to the apps, and ASUS has that single drop down feature that I like pretty much. I complained in the review of the Nexus 10 that I didn't like having two drop down areas. Multitasking is done like this. Press this icon, you can see here the apps you're switching from and close them with a single swipe to the top. Probably knew that already, but I wanted to show you. Okay, now we also have a cool feature called the ASUS floating apps. You press this button right here, you see a bunch of apps at the bottom of the screen, and those can overlap each other. So you activate the stopwatch, then the social networking app, then a calculator, and then a calendar, and then you move them all over the screen. There's even one for video playback. You can start the stopwatch, see what's happening with social networks, do some calculus, check out the calendar, all of that at the same time while moving the apps around. So this is basically yet another level of multitasking. You can also add more apps to this list, or you can eliminate apps from this list of floating applications at the bottom. This is how you add the apps. You can select the floating apps or widgets that you want to place in that list, and the list is quite big, as you can see here. And as I said, you can eliminate them by simply pressing that X next to them, and that's it. Okay, so enough with the floating apps. It's time to talk about the performance of the device, what we like to call the synthetic performance, using some benchmark results. Once again, this is a dual-core Intel-based tablet, and I have decided to compare it to the Transformer Prime, also made by ASUS, and the Nexus 10, a curious comparison. So I'm comparing an Exynos dual-core Nexus 10 with a Tegra 3 quad-core, the Transformer Prime, and the Intel dual-core here. So quadrant, we scored 5,603 points, we beat the Transformer Prime with its 4,300 points, and we beat the Nexus 10 with its 4,600 points. The first surprise is here. And second surprise, a very good benchmark result in Antutu, 17,769 points. We beat the Transformer Prime with 12,000 points, and we beat the Nexus 10 with 13,000 points. Moving even further, in Nanomark, it appears we have a good GPU, 58.8 frames per second. We beat the 46 frames of the Transformer Prime, and we beat the Nexus 10 in its 55 frames per second. Moving further to Velamo, we achieved 1795 points, we beat the 1000 points of the Transformer Prime, and we got beaten by the Nexus 10 and it's 18,000 points. 1800 points, excuse me. Okay, moving even further, the most relevant benchmark of all is 3D Mark, where we scored 5,774. Of course, we beat the Prime, but we got beaten by the Nexus 10 with quite a respectable score of 7,900 points. Finally, the browser test, 2,561, clearly beating the other tablets. So we have a very fast browser, and pretty much we ruled in all the benchmarks aside from the 3D Mark one. So we have actually quite a good CPU inside this tablet. You can see right here. Okay, so as usual, ASUS decided to customize the experience with a bunch of unique widgets that you can see here, including this cute battery widget, cute to-do list widget, also one for the calendar. Some you can see here. We have a task manager here. There's also one for body buzz, one for the calendar, one for the Supernote memo. Okay, so that's as far as the customization go, and now it's time for that part of the review where we analyze the applications that come bundled with the tablet. So we have the Kindle. If you like e-reading, we have app backup and app locker that you saw in other reviews. Then we have the ASUS Artist. As the name says, you can mess around with paintings if you feel like an artist. Select, let's say, baby pink. Trigger a bunch of brushes, mess around a bit, change the color. So let the artist in you create a picture and apply various effects, colors, change the brush strokes, and play with all sorts of effects. Moving even further in the app list, after the ASUS Artist, we got the ASUS Story, which is basically the idea of getting a photo collage together. You select a story name like ASUS, start selecting pictures, select done. So if you want to create a collage of your vacation, this is how you do it. Then you can edit it, you can add a photo, add a map, add text, enlarge the picture, move it around, and that's how the collage is created. And then yet another app, once again from ASUS Studio, pretty much the replacement for the gallery, arranging pictures by time, location, albums, or simply showing your photos. Okay, and the list continues even further. There's an app called ASUS To Do. Basically, it's your list of reminders. You can also sync your accounts if you want. You can add a reminder, add the due date, importance folder, and some notes if you want to. Okay, and there's also the BuddyBuzz application that, frankly speaking, I don't quite like. I feel that its interface feels a bit old. Maybe the widget is the only part I like from this application. This is the widget. I will refresh it, but usually it doesn't refresh efficiently, so BuddyBuzz is on my blacklist. And some other apps that you're already used to, like Gmail with its fresh look, or Maps, once again an app that got updated recently. By the way, this tablet has a GPS. You can see you can activate it from here if you want. This is Google Maps on this tablet, the new Google Maps. You can see this search bar right here, and everything has been reorganized. Okay, there's also an interesting feature. It's called Parental Lock, and it should be somewhere around here. Here it is, Parental Lock. If you feel the need to lock your tablet for the kids, little ones, you can set up a pin and create a device tracker if need be. There's also another interesting mechanism on this tablet that ASUS provides. Keep the home button pressed and you'll see a variety of options here. You also see some shortcuts to some apps, some Google services, so you can quickly enter Google Now, tell Google what to do, and that's a very interesting feature of this tablet. It has a lot of shortcuts if you come to think about it. Shortcuts here, shortcuts here, shortcuts here, so shortcuts everywhere. And then there is the famous ASUS web storage that allows you to store stuff in the cloud, and that in this latest version allows you to edit Office documents on the go and also store them in the cloud, sync them with other devices and continue your work on the go. And as usual, the note-taking app on steroids. This one, it's the Super Note Lite that allows you to paste stuff, draw stuff, insert stuff, put here videos, pictures, draw, write text. So a note-taking app on steroids. Okay, it's time for the verdict concerning this tablet, the ASUS MeMo Pad, the ASUS MeMo Pad FHD 10. A very interesting tablet. It's a mid-range tablet since ASUS has a cheaper one and a lower spec one and also a better one, so it fits in between them. The pros and cons, well, on the pro side, obviously we got the grip, very good grip, very comfortable to hold. The 10 hours of battery are very impressive. 10 hours of HD video playback on YouTube, hugely impressive. The price is also pretty nice, below $500. The interface is quite nice. Frankly, I prefer this idea of a single drop-down bar compared to the two bars of the Nexus 10. The audio is excellent, you heard it earlier. The volume is huge, the bass is very good, and Bang & Olufsen also worked on the audio technology, so it's perfect. There's no lag whatsoever. The dual-core Intel CPU is doing its job. I like the fact that we also get a micro HDMI port on the tablet, and the tablet does not get hot even after playing 2 straight hours of gaming. That's what I like. On the con side, the big bezels, maybe on the cons. There's no camera flash and the brightness could be a bit bigger. If you jump from 30% to 100%, you don't feel a huge change between them. Other than that, some of the apps can be considered bloatware. Maybe ASUS has exaggerated a bit with the apps. BuddyBuzz is clearly bloatware, and some other stuff, maybe the ASUS Story and Studio may feel useless, especially if you have the gallery app. Also, the app called Sticky Memo is kind of useless. Okay, it's time to give some grades to this beautiful device. For design, we give it an 8.7 out of 10, a 9 for hardware, and a 9.5 for operating system and user interface. The final grade is 9.06 out of 10. It's an excellent mid-range tablet from ASUS, and I look forward to seeing future MeMo Pad devices. This is it from Tablet News. Hope you like this review, and we'll be back with yet another MeMo Pad, the 7-inch unit, pretty soon. Bye bye.